Hey everyone, it's Fax. Ever wondered why some people can feel refreshed with just 3 to 4 hours of sleep while others need 6 to 7 hours? It almost seems unfair, right? Like some people have a superpower letting them conquer the day on a fraction of the sleep the rest of us need. Well, today we're diving into the science behind this phenomenon to uncover the truth about short sleepers, and trust me, it's way more fascinating than you might think. We're going to be looking at genetics, sleep cycles, even the impact of stress hormones, so buckle up. Hit that like button to unlock the secrets of short sleep, and let's get right into it. Alright, let's kick things off with a reality check. Not all sleep is created equal. You can't just look at the number of hours someone clocks in and assume everything about their rest. Think of it like this. You can spend 8 hours just tossing and turning, barely scratching the surface of actual sleep, or you can have 4 solid hours of deep, uninterrupted slumber. Which one do you think is going to leave you feeling more refreshed? The answer is pretty obvious, right? It's all about quality over quantity. Some people are just really efficient sleepers. They fall asleep fast, stay asleep, and cycle through the different sleep stages effectively, meaning they get more restorative sleep in a shorter amount of time. This means they might wake up after just a few hours feeling surprisingly alert and ready to go. Now, this isn't about bragging rights for who can function on the least sleep. It's about understanding that individual sleep needs vary wildly. The classic 8 hours of sleep is a guideline, not a hard and fast rule. So how do you know if you're getting high-quality sleep? Pay attention to how you feel during the day. Are you constantly hitting that midday slump, even after a solid 7 or 8 hours? You might be surprised to learn that you're not getting enough deep sleep, even if you're spending enough time in bed. There are tons of factors that can affect sleep quality, from stress and diet to underlying sleep disorders. We'll get into those more later, but the takeaway here is this: don't just focus on the clock, listen to your body and prioritize getting truly restful sleep, however long that takes for you. Now let's talk about those people who seem to thrive on just a few hours of sleep night after night. You know the type. They bounce out of bed after 4 hours looking annoyingly refreshed, while the rest of us are struggling to open our eyes. Well, sometimes it really is in their genes. There are actually specific gene mutations that have been linked to shorter sleep durations and increased alertness during the day. Researchers have identified a handful of these genes, and people who carry them are often referred to as natural short sleepers. These genetic marvels naturally produce lower levels of adenosine, a chemical in our brains that builds up throughout the day and makes us feel tired. So, while most of us are battling that afternoon adenosine slump, natural short sleepers are still going strong, their internal energy reserves seemingly unaffected. Now, before you start wishing you inherited those short sleep genes, here's the thing. It's estimated that only about 1 to 3% of the population are true natural short sleepers. That means the vast majority of people who claim to function perfectly on 4 hours of sleep are probably not genetically predisposed to it. They've likely just adapted to a chronic sleep-deprived state, which, as we'll discuss later, isn't something to envy. But for that lucky 1 to 3%, their genetics allow them to sleep less without experiencing the negative cognitive or physical consequences that the rest of us would face. They wake up feeling refreshed and can maintain that energy throughout the day. It's like having a built-in productivity hack. It's important to note that even with these genetic advantages, maintaining good sleep hygiene is still crucial for overall health and well-being. So, even if you're one of the lucky few who can function on less sleep, prioritizing quality rest is never a bad idea. Ever notice how you can power through an all-nighter if you're stressed about a deadline or a big presentation? You might feel surprisingly alert, even after pulling an all-nighter, but that burst of energy comes at a cost. Enter cortisol, the infamous stress hormone. When we're under pressure, our bodies release cortisol, which can temporarily boost alertness and suppress feelings of fatigue. It's like our body's natural alarm system, kicking us into high gear when we need to deal with a challenge. So some people who consistently sleep for shorter periods might actually be stuck in a vicious cycle of stress and sleep deprivation. Their chronically elevated cortisol levels could be masking the true impact of their insufficient sleep, making them feel more alert than they should. But here's the catch. Our bodies aren't designed for prolonged exposure to high cortisol levels. Over time, this can lead to a whole host of health problems, including weakened immune system, increased risk of heart disease, and even weight gain. Think of it like running your car on fumes. You might be able to push it for a while, but eventually, you're going to run into trouble. Similarly, relying on cortisol to power through sleep deprivation is not a sustainable long-term strategy. If you find yourself consistently relying on stress hormones to get through the day, it's a clear sign that you need to prioritize getting more rest. Ignoring your body's need for sleep will only catch up with you eventually, and the consequences can be far more detrimental than you might realize. You know how sometimes you get used to a bad smell after being around it for a while? Your senses adapt, and you stop noticing it as much. Well, something similar can happen with chronic sleep deprivation. Our bodies are incredibly adaptable, and when we consistently deprive ourselves of sleep, they try to compensate. We might start to feel like we're functioning fine on less sleep, because our perception of our own fatigue and impairment becomes skewed. This is where the danger lies. We can become so accustomed to the feeling of being constantly tired that we no longer recognize it as a problem. We might think we've successfully trained ourselves to be short sleepers, but in reality, we're just masking the negative effects of chronic sleep debt. Studies have shown that even after just a few days of sleep restriction, our cognitive performance, reaction time, and decision-making abilities start to decline. The scary part is, we might not even realize how impaired we are because our baseline has shifted. Imagine driving a car with a slow leak in one of the tires. You might not notice it at first, but over time it's going to affect your handling and increase your risk of an accident. Chronic sleep deprivation is like that slow leak. It gradually chips away at our cognitive abilities, making us more prone to errors and accidents. So, just because you've adapted to a sleep-deprived state doesn't mean it's not harming your health and well-being. It's crucial to recognize the signs of chronic sleep debt and prioritize getting enough sleep to allow your body and mind to fully recover. Let's face it, life can get hectic, and sometimes sacrificing sleep seems unavoidable. But while we can't cheat our biological need for sleep altogether, there are certain lifestyle choices that can help us feel more energized and mitigate the negative effects of occasional sleep deprivation. First up, let's talk about the power of food. What we fuel our bodies with directly impacts our energy levels. Instead of reaching for sugary snacks or processed foods that lead to energy crashes, opt for nutrient-rich whole foods that provide sustained energy release. Think complex carbohydrates like whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, along with lean proteins and healthy fats. These foods provide the building blocks for sustained energy production, helping us power through even when we're running low on sleep. Regular exercise is another powerful tool in our energy-boosting arsenal. It might seem counterintuitive to expend energy when you're already feeling depleted, but trust me on this one. Physical activity increases blood flow, improves cardiovascular health, and releases endorphins, all of which contribute to increased energy and focus. And of course, we can't forget about the importance of staying hydrated. Dehydration can lead to fatigue, headaches, and difficulty concentrating, exacerbating the effects of sleep deprivation. So, make sure you're drinking plenty of water throughout the day, especially if you're not getting enough sleep. While these lifestyle factors can certainly help us feel more alert and energized, it's crucial to remember that they are not a substitute for adequate sleep. They can help us manage the occasional late night or busy period, but consistently prioritizing these healthy habits is essential for long-term health and well-being, regardless of our sleep duration. Have you ever noticed how you can push through exhaustion when you're really excited about something? Maybe it's a passion project, a trip you've been looking forward to, or even just a really captivating book you can't put down. When we're genuinely interested or invested in something, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. This surge of dopamine can temporarily override our feelings of fatigue, allowing us to stay awake and engaged even when our bodies are craving sleep. This is the power of the mind-body connection. When our minds are engaged and stimulated, our bodies can follow suit, tapping into hidden reserves of energy we didn't even know we had. It's like our internal drive and determination can temporarily mask our need for sleep. But here's the thing, this is not a sustainable state to be in long term. Our bodies need sleep to function properly. And relying solely on motivation to power through exhaustion will eventually catch up with us. Think of it like running a marathon. Adrenaline and sheer willpower might get you through the first few miles, but eventually, your body will hit a wall if you haven't properly fueled and rested beforehand. Similarly, relying solely on motivation to override our need for sleep is like running that marathon on empty. While it's amazing to tap into that mental strength when needed, It's crucial to listen to our bodies and prioritize rest, even when we're feeling driven and inspired. Ignoring our sleep needs for too long can lead to burnout, decreased productivity, and even health problems down the line. So there you have it, the science behind why some people seem to thrive on less sleep. It's a fascinating interplay of genetics, hormones, lifestyle choices, and even the power of the mind. While some people may feel energized after shorter sleep, remember that adequate, restful sleep is essential for long-term physical and mental health. Don't compare your sleep to others and prioritize what your body needs. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insightful content.